Oh, actually, are we going to get that kind of static? You could. Yeah, like that would have probably better. So this is a little something about a little person. And that little person is you, and that little person is me. Just when you think that you're not enough to accomplish anything in this life, a little bit of reflection makes you realize we're all in this together. We've only got ourselves to work with. So don't ever let me hear you say that you can't do it. Small packages. If you think that normal always gets worse, then the role of my little verse is to advert and advise that forsooth 'tis otherwise. Here's a story to reflect upon. Right about the time began, give or take an eon, the waters that preceded us would not recede, and there was nothing to stand or sit on. Things were fine if you could swim, like beaver, loon, or fisher, but what if you were pregnant and, like Sky Woman, needed a place to deliver? She at length persuaded Turtle to provide a stable base, and secure in that space, with infinite grace and power maternal, sought to bring forth humanity. But it would not do to escape calamity, only for your progeny to have no home in which to roam, to create, recreate, and procreate. So fisher, loon, and beaver were each entrusted to deliver a portion of earth, to scatter over Turtle, to give us ground both rich and fertile. Now one by one they all dove down, and one by one they nearly drowned, and each returned empty-handed, gasping for air and on the verge of despair. Great swimmers all, who answered the call, each came up wanting. Yet with Sky Woman close to giving birth, they urgently needed a patch of earth. So when Muskrat announced that he could do it, the others said, well, you're welcome to it. What have they got to lose? A lowly rodent sure to blow it. What indeed? He dove down just like the rest, and wouldn't you know it, he passed the test. Muskrat returned with a paw full of sand, and out on the turtle's back became the land. So when your energy is spent, and your heart is rent, and you are stressed out mess who has to vent against the gaps and gulfs, the miscalculations and the strayings, the betrayings and the obfuscations, the lying and the crying and the trying and the dying. In your bush league, chump change too small to be the change you want to see, and your pockets are empty with lit petunias, and you're a card-carrying, paid in full, in good standing member of the Loyal Fellowship of Loonies. When I say the light of day forever feels a week away, and you're half insane for the months of praying and wasting your years nursing your fears, wishing for a break in the clouds above through which you feel some drops of love. If you need some inspiration, look to the muskrat to provide it. And if you need some inclination, that little guy will guide it. For we are none so small as to be incapable, and no fate is so great as to be inescapable. When you see that now we take for granted that trees are cut as fast as they are planted, that acres of tar are things to treasure, that we prize cupidity beyond all measure, and burden ourselves beyond our comprehension by its stupidity beyond all mention, with Turtle tired of our excess weight, and all our baggage and our freight, now's the time to shift our stance and give the planet another chance. And fearless, peerless, firm in our demands, with a clod of bleeding earth in your left hand, and in the right a glass of polluted scum, tell yourself you're never too young, you're never too old, you're never too weak, too meek to be bold. And remind yourself, like Muskrat, it's in you to give all of creation a place to live. So that's a little indication, I think, that we've all got something to do, we've all got something to say. And this one also goes out to my fellow creative types. We are all creative individuals, we're all a little bit strange, we're all a little bit loopy. Some of us are loopier than others. For those who've ever been told that they can't do something because they're crazy, I choose to look upon this as a call to arms. So this is an open letter to the unimaginative. If you say that we are not grounded, then we say that you've been planted, and taking for granted the fact that you're surrounded by crabgrass and stones, needles and cones, dandelions and stumps, shoulder to shoulder and rump to rump. We would rather peek up through the clouds and gaze down out upon the crowds. From limb of a tree with a sturdy root, living high and living good in a canopy on sugary fruit with mighty sap and mighty wood.
Yeah.
It gives perspective for introspection. It allows us to feel the wind's direction, to see at a glance how the planet's looking, and to smell what the day's got cooking. We're not constricted by constricting binds. Silly things like space and time are here as forever, and our everywhere is now. Even immobile, we are in motion. Even at peace, we are moved by emotion. And when we take our final bow, there won't be moss upon our back. Accuse us of excess, we'll accuse you of lack. And if you say the world is white and black, and that our spectrum is out of whack, let us correct you so as you'll understand. With an HB pencil, you draft your plan. A blueprint, a diagram with orthogonal projection, linear section, and those cute little arrows which indicate direction. Yet here we stand with a bucket of paint. And in go our hands, and with no restraint, we slap the pigment to the panel. And we'll no longer us, but some sort of channel for the colors themselves and the shapes that arise. The fortuitous, the gratuitous, the constant surprise of lives lived in scarlet and ultramarine, in cadmium yellow and phthalo green. Colors have moods and stubborn minds, and many there are that just won't rhyme. Silver, orange, crimson, purple. Outliers all whom you'd constrain, contain, and detain in vain. Yet they will be the ones to save you from yourselves in your monochromatic, monolithic, static hell.
Yeah.
So in the end, embrace the crazy, we who see the world in shades of paisley. And if you say that paint is only on the surface, well, we say our surface serves a deeper purpose. As much for the pain as for the joy, as for the girl inside the boy, as much for the person inside the beast as for the starving at the feast. As much for the woman who takes a ballot as for the man denied a ballot. As much for the blind with perfect sight as for those who die alone at night. As much for those at the top of the game as for the fate of insert name. We bear witness when you won't or can't. We chant and rant to confront your dogma and your cant. So with no compunction for destruction of impediments and obstructions, we spunky punks with our tickle trunks full of funky junk, out of all disjunction and malfunction, from our first words to the extreme unction, are the only ones with the tricks to fix and mend what you rend, to deconstruct and reconstruct, in a burst of joy, the world that others would destroy.